Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I have done quite a bit of work. So I guess you would probably realize that there was not a update last week on this. It was just a world tour, or not a world tour, but like a tour of one of my older builds, which was the Magic College. So during that time, it wasn't like I was just taking a break. I was actually doing a ton of work, and that work is laid out in front of you here. It may not look like much, but as we get closer, I'll show you just how much work it was to get this portion done. So let's go ahead, as always, down the grand road down here of the city of Loit. So the grand entrance. Going to work on that at some point. Need to connect that up with the back side of that's on the path that leads back to Catalogero. Oh no, it's raining. Well, that's really unfortunate, but we're just going to have to continue the tour because yeah, we got to do this. So we get up a little bit closer, and so if you remembered in the last update, all that I had was this like entrance thing here, like the main like hallway entrance. So the first thing that I did was, well, I did not do that first, I suppose, but we'll get into that. So one of the things that I did was build in these walls here. So start the wall project, and the wall project is going to be a massive one because it is eventually going to go clear around the whole outside of this like island out here. And if you haven't seen, this island is absolutely massive. So it's going to take an absolute ton of resources and time, but that's okay. You know, that's kind of what Minecraft is about. But we'll go up on the island a little bit, and you can kind of see it goes way on out there. So this wall is going to be absolutely huge. Like I said when I started this city out here, this is going to be definitely the biggest project that I've ever done in Minecraft, all of these combined. And so that's exactly what I did. So to start the wall, the problem is we've got these big land masses here, so I have to clear all of them out. So that takes a while in general because it was like clear out to here. But then to build this, so there's quite a bit of detail on these. There's, I think, like, I don't know how many layers. So there's a wall layer, and then you've got just the regular block layer, another wall layer, block layer, another wall layer. So I had to go like up and down through here. I can't tell you how many times to build these pillars, and it's pretty tall up here, and so it takes quite a bit of resources. But I went ahead and kind of brought a few more blocks into the palette. So of course on the bridge for the most part through there, we just have the the stone brick and the diorite and all that stuff. But here I brought in, which I really need to fill in the water here. So I brought in the cobbled deep slate as like a background color there, and it's supposed to be like a more shadowed look. So that way there's contrast, and I think it looks good. And then also I brought in some lapis blocks, which it took a lot to do both of these sides of the walls. So I don't think I'll have the ability to do the whole wall with lapis. So we might see something like some blue wool or blue terracotta or something, or whatever it is. I don't use terracotta, so, or concrete, I don't know. Something like that eventually, but I really love the look of the lapis, and probably is going to be another mainstay of the city, that the lapis blocks. So it just makes a good contrast with the white and the gray, the blue does. So I really love that palette, and I'll probably eventually take these lapis blocks and use them elsewhere in the city, and then just use like the blue wool or something here, because you really can't tell I guess the detail of it up close. So it'll probably be okay. And then for the things where you get up close, I'll probably just use the here, we'll go to the other side. I'll probably just use the lapis blocks, because from far away here you're not going to be able to tell what these are. So that's kind of the idea there. And then the same thing over this side, but it's not just going to be like the rest of the walls aren't just going to be like straight. So they're going to curve around and eventually make like a big circle almost around this whole entire area. And then down below, I'm going to have like this huge like dock area, but like warships and everything. Like, it's going to be pretty crazy. Because in the lore, if you've kind of listened to that a little bit, this area got transformed from like a mining area to pretty much like the main front area for this huge war that's going to happen. So that's kind of what they're working on now. But let's go on up here. So one of the other things that I did, which took a lot of effort, was taking down the mountain here. So this like ran all the way to here. So you can imagine how many blocks I had to remove for that, because this is going to be like the first, I guess, tiered system of the city. So there's going to be more up above the walls, but I also built this wall in, and of course it's not as detailed, but this is going to be like the little inner city walls, and those are the outer city like walls out there. And so those need to be stronger and more detailed, of course, to keep all the invaders out. And these don't have to be as much. These are more just retaining walls for like the dirt. So that's kind of what I did, and I went and put like grass and stuff down here. So this is quite a big area actually. Oh, more rain? Are you serious? Super frustrating. But this is, you know, this area is going to be where a lot of like the main administrative buildings and different things like that are going to be. Right in here. And so I want to put down all this grass and stuff, and eventually it will be like paths running through here and sidewalks and everything. And I think this might be the palette for the paths, just like the cobbled deep slate and then the railroad deep slate alternated. Not for sure, because I haven't gotten into those yet. And then over on this side, same thing. I'm leveling it out, and the walls will be going like way around there, so this will be a lot further out. So it's going to be like a huge area for like the main administrative buildings, and you can kind of see where it'll start rounding around, and eventually I'm going to have a staircase going up to the second tier on this side and on the other side of the wall. And up here will be more, I'd say probably like general housing and stuff up on this tier. As I start to cut down all of this, and then eventually there will be like a third tier up here, and it will be, I think, kind of the main like castle area, if that's what you would want to call it, where like the king of this area or the mayor or whoever it may be would stay at. And so that'll be all the way up here. But you can kind of get a good picture of how big this island is as we go out through here. And then I'm going to cut out the rest of that eventually and trench that out and put it over to here to the ocean that leads over there. And that will lead over to Catawajerowan by boat, which is pretty awesome. So everything is all connected up in this world. I do like that sort of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do, and I have done a lot of work over here. Hopefully you guys kind of get a picture of the scale of this. You know, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. Like, I have an actual job, so I do not have time to do like crazy big updates like you would see other people. But this one was a big one for me. So I hope you all appreciate that, and leave a like for the effort I put in on this video. But yeah, as far as going forward with this, I'm going to take a little break and go back to the main city of Catawajerowan to work for a little while, because this took out like almost all of my resources of diorite. So we definitely need a lot of diorite for this build to continue the walls. But that is something that I've still got to work on. And so that's the wonderful thing about Minecraft, is you can work on more than one thing at once. So I've got some other things going on in Catawajerowan that will be pretty cool to work on in the meantime while we get more of the diorite. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I guess, make sure you subscribe and check out more of the series. But of course, we've got to get into the lore, explaining a little bit more what's going on with this area. All right, let's see here. With the disappearance of their king, the city of Catawajerowan was left with no choice. and eventually had to make an election. In 5157, Old Yim was elected as the new king. At this point, his name was just Yim, though, but we later find out how he got the title of Old. King Yim's first decree would be one that most citizens would support. Since the previous king was kidnapped by some great and terrible world power, the assumption was that at any moment they would return for the whole city and not just its king. Therefore, all efforts of the town and its citizens were growing the army and were spent on growing the army and reinforcing the defenses. Both the Red Flag and Slayers Guild members stood side by side in marching order, and during construction. Never before had the city seen a time like this, cooperative yet immensely scared for the time to come. Alright, so there we have it. So they elected the new king and are starting work on defending against Loit here, which is the city that we're working on, who is owned by Folkreet. So a little bit more lore for you. But I hope you all have enjoyed this this part of the series, working on the area of Loit out here. I know I have. It definitely was a nice break from Cattle of Jarwin, but I am certainly itching to get back to that and finish a couple more of the projects. So, yeah, I guess that is it for today's video, and